place to be, where art, life, and spirituality connects you and me. Science of mind and spirit, the foundation we teach and live. Love, joy, and belonging are the gifts we have to give. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one life, one mind, one infinite, eternal, self-existent. 'Cause we pause, embodying all that we are. We shine like a glorious star. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one. Spirituality is our way of life. We value laughter, truth, and justice. We express artistry as our living practice. So come and join us at SIA. Know you found a community that will love you every day.
Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message.
SIA is the place to be. So buckle up, we're making history. And if you are willing, repeat after me. I am love. I am love. it right. One more time. I am love. I am joy. I am divine. Amen. Yes, you are. Amen. Yes, you are. Now today's message begins.
Namaste and greetings as we close out the month of July, July. Our theme, whole no matter what. A world that values all, and all must mean all. So how do we create a world that works for everyone and all of creation? What does that mean? What does that look like? To create a world that works for everyone and all of creation, we must create a world that values all of who we are, all of what we are, by recognizing the intimate, intricate, interwoven nature of our being. Breathe. In chapter 17 of the Science of Mind textbook, Mental Equivalent, Dr. Holmes says, the gift of God is God. The self-givingness of God to all of life, that's the gift. That means you're the gift because you are a divine expression of. To what degree do you value that in yourself? To what degree do I value it in myself? To what degree do I value it in you? Even if someone may not recognize it in themselves because their behavior shows otherwise, can I still recognize the intimate, intricate, interwoven nature of their being? And while this may sound simple, yes, it is not easy. Because we live in a world that for various reasons, it is full of division and divisiveness, us versus them, and all forms of struggle and strife. So it is very difficult to focus on someone's innate values or value. And yet we do have the tools. We have the tools to do the work to move toward a more inclusive, a more just, and a more equitable world where all of life, all of the expressions of God, all of them are nurtured and celebrated. Now, there's some key nuance things in there that we're going to touch on, because this sounds like, wait a minute, you want me to, but look what they're, just come on in, come on in, come on in. So as I said, the world in many ways is fractured, but we have the tools to not only reassemble, to call in and call on to value. We have the ability to truly recognize the oneness of, in, through, and as all that is. We have the tools. Are we applying them? And when we talk about a world that works for all, who makes the decision regarding what works actually means? We're creating a world that works. Who determines what that word means? What is the definition of it? What does it look like? Who makes that decision? Who decides the meaning, the application of works? A world that succeeds for all? A world that provides for all? What does the word mean? And who is making the choice? And when we say everyone and all, who decides how that's going to operate? A world that works for all is a world where we no longer kill animals to eat them. But that's why they're growing cattle, like that's their whole business. And McDonald's, and I mean, I don't know if that's real meat or not, but anyhow, various places, like, how's it work for them if you're getting rid of their business? So who decides how this is actually going to be implemented? Ask the questions. Because as we did last month with the divine doubt, asking questions is how we arrive at possible answers. But if we don't ask, we don't get it all. So ask, because it is easy to think, well, if all means all, then everyone has input. You say everyone? Do we make these decisions? Wait, what does that mean? Because if they're the ones making the decisions, then it's not going to be a world that works for all. Because their values are the antithesis of a world that works for all. Even though Thanos, mythical creature, being, character, though his intentions were to provide the resources by eliminating half of those that consume said resources, one could say that was an honorable thing, because he could have snapped and just wiped out everything and everyone. But he was only getting rid of half, because the current numbers, the resources can't sustain that. But could he have snapped and provided more resources? Could he have snapped and created a way for there to be more resources, more renewable resources for the growing numbers? Could he have done that? Or was he too myopic in his vision and self-righteousness to even ask greater questions? Creating a world that works for all means we come together and ask, what are our values? What does it mean? What does it look like? Creating a world that works for all is a world where we are individually and collectively in the process of healing. Which means a world that works for all does not work for the racist, because we've healed that, or we are healing that. A world that works for all does not work for the sexist, because we are healing that. Capitalistic greed, healing it. Poverty, healing it. Food deserts, healing it. But we must ask the questions regarding each of these things to really be able to apply the tools that we have to change them. Adrienne Marie Brown writes, "We create the patterns of our society through our choices and beliefs and practices. In other words, our mental equivalents. As such, the path to a future in which humans can be in an authentic and accountable peace with each other is fractal, meaning we must be willing to practice authenticity and accountability at the small scale of ourselves, our lives, our immediate relationships and friendships, and we must practice it on the micro scale. And as we do that, it changes on the macro scale. A healed society would be one in which no one becomes the bearer of unjust hardship, where individuals do not bear the weight of systemic failures. We can heal our relationships to each other to move toward a reality in which no one is given a life. No one grows up within a life that only produces trauma and suffering. We have the tools right now. We are not applying them effectively. Some are, but we have not reached the tipping point of it yet. So we are called to do it more and more and more. To create a healed society where everyone is valued for who and what they are requires being accountable, building relationships, setting boundaries, and making amends. Valued. Valued describes something or someone that is considered highly important, esteemed, respected, cherished, treasured, and it often implies a sense of appreciation. To create a healed society where everyone is respected, where everyone is appreciated, where everyone is seen as being highly important. Accountable, being responsible, answerable, and obligated to justify one's actions or decisions to an authority or to the public. It implies taking personal responsibility and accountability for behaviors and for the outcomes of those behaviors, rather than blaming others for, she made me do it. No, she didn't. You chose to do it as a response to whatever she said or did. Being accountable often involves transparency and accepting the consequences when certain morally value-based standards are not met. Building relationships. Healthy relationships are built on consistent and effective communication, mutual respect, and shared effort. Healthy relationships foster emotional and physical well-being and spiritual well-being. Key components include trust, autonomy, compromise, working together as a team, cooperation and collaboration. And it doesn't matter if they are platonic, familial, romantic. Strong bonds, strong relationships require active, nurturing, and emotional fairness, equity. Setting boundaries. Healthy boundaries are clear. They are consistent and kind. Limits which are used to protect your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual well-being. Healthy boundaries foster mutual respect in a relationship. And they empower you to define your own needs, your own wants, to prevent burnout and to reduce and or eliminate codependency. A few key examples include saying no without feeling guilt or shame, protecting your time, and being able to communicate to someone whatever your limits or boundaries are. And lastly, making amends. Making amends is the process of taking responsibility for any wrongdoings, not simply by saying I'm sorry, but by taking action to repair harm. This is what reparations would do for the centuries of chattel slavery. It makes amend by taking action rather than simply apologizing. It involves recognizing the damage that has been caused, expressing sincere regret, and then taking tangible, actionable steps to correct or rectify the situation. Such as, what do we need to do to restore trust? How do we replace the damaged property or whatever it was? For example, Black Wall Street. What do we do to replace the damage that we did to the people of this area and it also includes changing one's future behavior. This is how we create a healed society. All of these pieces, all of these parts, we already have the tools. Prentice Hemphill writes, boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. See, codependency doesn't allow that. Healthy boundaries do. Boundaries, as Prentice wrote, are how we shelter our authenticity, how we shelter our real selves. And healthy boundaries are essential as we build relationships with one another. It is therefore important, it is vital to honor our own boundaries as we accept and honor others' boundaries. If someone says, I don't do pop-up visits at my house. Let me know if you're going to show up. Then I shouldn't do a pop-up at somebody else's house unless they have distinctly said, yeah, I don't care. But unless that has been communicated, I should not do to them what they don't want done to me. Now, a great example of boundary setting comes from the story from the Lord of the Rings, when Gandalf and the Balrog square off. There's a specific line. Are you familiar with this part of the story? That Gandalf says to the Balrog. If you know what it is, put it in the chat. Okay. So Gandalf says, "You shall not pass." In other words, no, stop. Go no further. Keeping in mind that when we say no to one thing, what we are actually saying is yes to something else. What are we saying yes to? The no, I'm not available that Sunday because I'm available I'm hanging out with the grandkids. So I can't interpret. I'm hanging out with them. So a no for this makes a yes for that. What is Gandalf saying yes to? Yes, my fellow travelers are going to be safe. You will not hurt or harm them. You cannot pass. Boundaries open up the possibility of mutuality in real time. Boundaries do not undo our history, but they are the choice to meet one another honestly through it, even if only for a moment. So we are able to have a real-time conversation about the hurt and harm done by a Jim Crow system of policies and procedures. And we are able to talk about boundaries that didn't exist, that still don't exist, that have to exist in order to create a world that works for all. And we meet one another in this place of, I have boundaries now, you have boundaries now. We all have boundaries. So how do we have this conversation within this container so we collectively move in the direction of a world that works for all? This is one of the places where many folks in New Thought say, we shouldn't talk about politics. No, yes, we should. But how do we do it in the way that Prentice is offering us? How do we meet one another honestly, in real time, addressing and talking about the things that need to change, evolve, transform, be eliminated to manifest a world that works for all? There is no principle known to science that is limited by any use that was ever made of it. The past does have a relationship to the present and in the creation of the future. But if we break the sequence and initiate a new chain of causation through our volition, then the same power that brought bondage will now bring freedom. So there was a thing called chattel slavery. That was the sequence of that chain. Until such time as Harriet Tubman broke the chain, broke the sequence, and initiated a new chain called emancipation. And her new chain also included, none of us can truly be free till all of us are free. So I need to also travel to help break their chains in the sequence. Her choice changed her life. Her choice enabled them to change their lives, which brought freedom. What are the chains that are currently binding us politically, socially, morally, ethically, spiritually, etc.? Christian nationalism is bondage. Neo-Nazism is bondage. Greed and corruption is bondage. How do we initiate a new chain of causation? Through our choices and our embodiment in order to bring about freedom. The image you see on your screen is demonstrating a scientific principle. Do you know what it is? Type it into the chat if you do. I'll give you 4, 3, 2, 1. The principle is gravity. Can you use up gravity? Like, can I drop enough things that come tomorrow, there's no more gravity? No. So no matter how much you surf, ski, skateboard, no matter how many things you drop, none of it. However we use gravity, leaves falling from trees, rain falling, snow falling, all of it, it doesn't exhaust gravity. Nor does your ability to use up the number 2. You can write 2 to 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 for the rest of your life, and you will still be able to write a 2. Say the word 2. Put 2 things together. Because 2 is a principle. Gravity is a principle. The divine and creation is a principle. We cannot run out of love or joy or laughter. We can't run out of any of that stuff. Wisdom, intelligence. We can't. So we are invited to move into a new place of consciousness that says, then that means there's more than enough to change what needs to be changed to create a world that works for all. Yes. But you know, there are a lot of people starving and hungry. Do you know how much food the average grocery store or restaurant throws away in one day? We throw away more food than some people see for their entire lives. There is more than enough. The amount of money you take we'll just take the top 3 billionaire, trillionaires, whatever. Zuckerberg, Bezos, Musk. The money that they have just in themselves, if they were to pay their fair share of taxes, healthcare would be guaranteed. Infrastructure would be guaranteed. Like, there are things that their taxes alone, because there's more than enough, would change how the system works. They would be granting greater freedom to whole segments of the population. We have the tools, we have the resources, we have the consciousness. This has ever been the lesson taught by those who we call the illumined, that we find God only within ourselves and as ourselves, and God can work for us only by the work that God does through us and as us. There is no anthropomorphic God outside of us doing or providing, or that's why Jesus taught the lesson of the Good Samaritan. to demonstrate what we are supposed to be doing. We are supposed to take care of and support one another. We are supposed to provide food and clothing and shelter, not take it from, but provide it to. We could do this now if we followed the model of the 7 most common types of bridges. Bridges, what do? Bridges connect. If we were willing to build bridges of connection, rather than operating based upon othering. For example, the actor, Michael B. Jordan, referencing how many people in the public on social media or whatever criticized the 3 images with him and these gentlemen, to which Michael B. Jordan responded, anyone that tries to make something sexual of this, of my relationship and my affection towards these men, has a problem. Those guys are all my brothers, and I love them with all my heart, and they love me. It is not sexual, it's brotherhood. And in the real world, if there was a sexual relationship, there still wouldn't be anything wrong with it. But the point is that many are denying themselves the freedom to love and express for fear of, for the bondage of being labeled, being outcast, being whatever that is. Michael is building bridges and offering us the opportunity to do the same. How do we show, how do we demonstrate our love, our connection, our relationships? By any chance, do you know what city this is? It's 4 images, they're all of the same city, in case you didn't know that. Any idea? Type it in the chat. If you said Pittsburgh, you are correct. My hometown. Now, did you know that Pittsburgh has a nickname? Do you know what the nickname of Pittsburgh is? There's sort of a clue if you look at the photos. It's got to do with that, or those. So Pittsburgh's nickname is the City of Bridges, because the city has approximately how many? Oh, some of y'all were close. 446 bridges. That's a lot. The city itself is a demonstration of how one side, one part, one neighborhood connects to another, to one another. How do I get from here to the north side? Bridge. South side, bridge. And back, bridge. Well, what about bridge and bridge? Bridges connect the city. And there are specific individuals who do the dangerous work of building bridges and maintaining and sustaining bridges. Are we willing to be such individuals who step out into the dangerous place, the place of being vulnerable, to build bridges? Knowing that there are some bridges that have become dilapidated and they have, for various reasons, caved in, crashed, and broken. A relationship that is not taken care of will crash and crumble and break. if it's not nurtured and supported effectively, this is why, and this is another reason why politics is important, there's a key phrase that this represents: infrastructure. That's a political thing. Are we ensuring that the infrastructure that supports bridges and streets and potholes, etc., is doing what it is supposed to do? What about the infrastructure of our lives? This is the Great Awakening, the moment in which we now live. In this moment, we are asking this question of ourselves: is there not plenty in the universe? Then why do we want? In this divine awakening, there seems to be an inner witness who remembers that we are incarnated from this infinite universe. There seems to be an answer from that great witness, that great within, that says the divine's house is filled with peace, power, and plenty. The universe is not and cannot be limited. The universe is abundant. It is lavish. It is extravagant. Nothing can be taken from it or added to it. Creation is the play of life upon itself. So if there's already enough, is it simply our mismanagement of what is that is denying? Then how do we, one, we have to recognize it. We have to identify what is actually going to create a world that works for all. And when we identify what's missing, who's not at the table, who's not in the room, whose voice isn't being heard, once we had, then we, okay, so now how do we make it so that they are there, so that they are included, so that they are provided for? How do we recognize the spiritual infrastructure that is needed to build bridges that connect us all? We're already one. We're just not acting like it. How do we recognize that this infinite universe, the all that is extravagant and opulent and lavish in ways that give us the ability to drink from our saucer because our cup runneth over? Rather than having people say, but I don't have anything in my cup. How do we ensure that every cup is full to overflow? Because the universe is full to overflow. How do we enter into the alchemist lab using all of the tools that we have, recognizing all of the spaces and all of the places to change and transform what needs to be changed and transformed, so a world that works for all is natural and is the default setting? We cannot do that by ignoring or denying, being unwilling to have certain kinds of discussions. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance created the Klan. Ignorance created the Nazis. Ignorance is not bliss. So while there is no map showing us how to get out of this confusing story, I believe it will require us falling back in love with the complex ecosystem that creates and sustains us, and by fighting for a different way of life based on reciprocity and renewal. It is the role of transformational characters, the illumined, the people willing to take on the work of transformation the bridge builders, in their spheres of care and influence, to move away from the narrowing and the isolating trends of this time and to build authentic community with one another in all our vast humanity, one that ultimately creates more safety for everyone. This is how we get rid of war and bullying, sex trafficking. This is how we get rid of all of it. But we have to apply this. We can't just read the quote, say, yes, great thing, and then do nothing. We know by intuition that there is something beyond what we have so far consciously experienced in this world. Poets have sung of it. And there are moments in the lives of all when the veil seems thin between, and we almost enter into a heavenly estate, a state of ecstatic bliss, orgasmic awareness. This is the meaning of coming to oneself, recognizing your divinity. We are still in the awakening state. We have not yet consciously entered the state of recognizing our perfect wholeness. We know that such a state is a reality and that we shall yet attain this reality. Nothing can dislodge this inner and intuitive perception from our mentality. We know it as certainly as we know that we live. This is God knowing itself. We are awakening to the realization that the universe is perfect and complete. It gives. It is love. It is good. And it wills only good to all alike. And real quick, slight sidebar, it reminds me of chapter 17, Mental Equivalence. Dr. Holmes says, the eternal gift is always made. The gift of God is the nature of God. The eternal givingness. God cannot help making the gift because God is the gift. And if we are individualized expressions of God, then we too are the gift. There is no life without a task. There is no person without a talent. No place without a fragment of God's light, waiting to be discovered and redeemed. I don't do the whole fragment. There's no place where God's light, God's love, God's joy is not present and waiting to be recognized. There is no situation without its possibility of its sanctification. There is no moment without its call. The yin and yang is always present. There's always something to do because of who and what we be. So recognizing that you are right now, you are the guardian, mender, and keeper that the planet needs. When Dr. Sharif Abdullah speaks about in his book, Creating a World That Works for All, you are the mender and the keeper that the planet needs. Whether you believe it or not, whether you know it or not, whether you want to be or not, you are, because you are the gift. You have talents. You have treasures. You have things that you are here to be and to do. Breathe. The personal is political, and the political lives in our personal interactions. No matter how much we might wish we could cleave them apart, we cannot separate. That's why we must engage in political discourse. And one of the things that this involves is recognizing that even when we miss the mark, the universe holds nothing against us. No matter how many mistakes we have made, we are still whole, perfect, and complete. And that which we recognize becomes our lived expression if we carefully practice and train ourselves to embody and know this. As we listen to that voice, that awareness, that knowingness that speaks to us all the time, not just in moments of us being in quiet meditation, but even when it is noisy and loud, the voice is there. If you're there, then God is there. The voice that is God is there. The intuition is there. The imagination is there. Noise cannot drown that out. Just saying. And keeping in mind that when we make mistakes, well, nothing is permanent. If it were, then we all would get caught in a trap, and evolution, transformation would cease to exist then and there. So don't be afraid of change. Simply question the direction in which change is taking us. Is it taking us toward greater liberation and freedom? Or is it taking us or keeping us in bondage? We are so matter of fact and so filled with common sense that it oozes out of our psychic being like perspiration out of the physical body. But beyond this, there is an uncommon super sense. There is a divine logic of deduction, which knows no process. A spirit of freedom, whose natural habitat is the stars, and whose sun never sets. That gift that I spoke about, the givingness of God to all, as all, through all, that is your super sense. That divine wisdom, that divine intelligence that knows no boundaries, that is as infinite as the sky, the heaven, all the stars. And it does not go away. In other words, the sun never sets. It is always present. And not just present, but like the water, life is not and cannot be stagnant. Life is vibrant, active, and alive around us, in us, as us, always. To be enlightened is to care more about cultivating depth in life than simply expanding the breadth of it. It is easy to collect experiences. It is crucial to understand the meaning of them. A lot of us think that enlightenment means somehow separating or segregating ourselves from life's experiences. Like somehow we will become so evolved that our won't stink anymore, that we don't have to do laundry anymore. I'm enlightened. Those menial tasks are beneath me. That's not enlightenment. That's ignorance. So when we understand that enlightenment actually, if it's not avoiding life, then it has to be embracing life. Enlightenment is all about being fully present, embracing all of what life is. Embrace it completely and fully, moment by moment by moment. Because when we do this, we are then able to effectively change. The moment I recognize my words are causing harm, break the chain of causation, make amends, correct, take accountability and responsibility. But if I'm so busy trying to avoid politics, avoid those conversations, avoid conflict, then I'm not going to be able to embrace life fully. I'm not going to be able to evolve and change. To actively embody and engage the science of mind and spirit 4.0 is to engage in a scientific manner the art and practice of true holistic healing. This type of healing means we look at all aspects of our lives, culture, society, etc., and identify what is and what is not operating in a healthy manner. Once we've identified what is not, we then become determined to create a treatment plan, and we get to work on it. It is important to understand that not all healing is rainbows and gumdrops. Many times, healing means boundaries, discomfort, saying no, and understanding that we are always connected, even if and when we never cross that particular bridge again. To heal to the degree necessary to create a world that works for all, we must live the truth that we know, moment by moment. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I will say it first. If it resonates with you, I invite you to repeat it the second time. I am a divine architect who sees and creates the necessary structures wherever I go. Together. I am a divine architect who sees and creates the necessary structures wherever I go. And so it is. For the Thursday night study group, or for your own personal journal questions, number one, or number two, what does it mean for the world to also work for the racist, the sexist, those other folks? What does that mean? Number one, how would I describe a world that works for all if someone were to ask me? And based on that definition, how does that world work for those people who are racist? For the technocrats? Number three, what are some of my boundaries that I have mastered? And what are some that I am still actively working on? Number four, what are some infrastructures that I have built in my life that demonstrate my awareness and practice of science of mind and spirit 4.0? Number 5, what are some ways that I limit the overflow of fill in the blank in my life? For example, what are some ways that I limit the overflow of joy in my life, the overflow of love in my life, happiness, health and well-being, mind, body, and spirit? How do I limit these things in my life? And then lastly, how am I invited to be an enlightened guardian, mender, and keeper? And then, as always, we are invited to go out into the world in some way, shape, or form and have a conversation with someone. This week, have a conversation about the truth regarding why it is necessary for us not to avoid political discourse and why it is actually required of us if we practice liberation theology. Breathe. As we close with prayer, always recognizing and understanding that this entire message and all of it is done, all that we do is our practice in order to create, to manifest, and to experience a world that works for all. So as we are aligned in this consciousness and this awareness, we are aligned with one another, with the values and the principles of our teaching as we study, integrate, and apply. Knowing that moment by moment, we are making the changes to the very infrastructure of our individual lives and collectively. Changing the physical infrastructures, the emotional infrastructures, the psychological infrastructures, the infrastructures of relationships and finances, and the divine spiritual infrastructures of how we as divine incarnations of God, the gift, the nature of God, live, move, and have our beingness without faith in God, but with the faith of God. And knowing that this is how we live, move, and have our beingness, and the law receives and moves accordingly, then all of this is actually about how we live our amen. Actively, consciously, moment by moment. And so it is. As always, love and blessings. Go out and remind the world that you are a divine being, and so is it. When next I see you, unless I see you during the week, when next I see you next Sunday, we will be in August. Love and appreciate you. See you soon. Blessings.
Today's message is complete, something to believe, a seed of truth that we can practice if we choose to receive. As we take the science of mind and spirit pour it over to every corner of the world where the healing needs to go. We know it's not a secret, can't block behind a door. It's the wisdom that we're living, and love is what we share it for. Now step into the world, be a healing, hopeful beacon. You're walking the path and offering to all who may be seeking. Know it, practice it, live it every day. That's how we heal the consciousness. We wash the ignorance away. Time to heal the world and make the vision come true. No more waiting for someone else to do what we can do. With gratitude, love, and a joy so deep. We have principles, practices, and promises we're all going to keep. Take the teaching out into the busy street, to every stranger and every soul you meet. dedication to liberation is the key we hold. A story of freedom that's waiting to be told. Right where you are is holy ground. Feel into your rhythm and the sacred sound. You're an incarnation of the divine. You're holy, powerful, and good. And you are called to be that in the world and do what only you could. Know it, practice it, live it every day. That's how we heal the consciousness. We wash the ignorance away. Time to heal the world and make the vision come true. No more waiting for someone else to do what we can do. With gratitude, love, and a joy so deep, we have principles, practices, and promises we're all gonna keep. Be the change that you want to see. Unlock the chains and set all life free. From the heart of the city to the jungles and open plains, breaking the cycles of oppression and its heavy chains. It's a revolution of the body, the mind, and the soul. Mending, making, and manifesting the broken parts now finally whole. Know it, practice it, live it every day. That's how we heal the consciousness. We wash the ignorance away. Time to heal the world and make the vision come true. No more waiting for someone else to do what we can do. With gratitude, love, and a joy so deep, we have principles, practices, and promises we're all gonna keep. Right where you are sacred. Right where you are, shining so bright. Right where you are, the divine is expressing. Right where you are, life. So live it every day. Make the vision now come sing. In divine is not far off watching. It is incarnating itself as you. Have an amazing week and know that you are loved.